And if that sounds anything like Pokemon, it's because it has some similarities. It has some similarities.
It's the same thing. It's just like Pokemon. It's the same thing.
Palworld, come out of the left field and taking the world by storm. The game hit 2 million sell in 24-hour and 3 million in 40-hour. And at the time making this video, the sale is hitting 7 million just on Steam. The biggest launch on Steam history now. Bigger than Elden Ring, bigger than Hogwarts Legacy, bigger than Cyberpunk, bigger than any other game that ever launched in the platform. And that no small feat. The game is consecutively rising to higher and higher concurrent player peaks. Last count was over 2 million concurrent player, mean it surpassed Counter-Strike 2. To be first in current and peak players, and second in peak players of all time, just under PUBG. And that not even counting Game Pass. Don't let the graphic lie to you. This game is not for kid. This is an open-world survival game. A good survival game, if you ask me. It like the best part of Rust and Ark put together. And the concept of monster collecting is a cream on top. You can participate in slavery. Let your pal help with building base and crafting.
Now, one of our pals is getting a little bad attitude there, feeling down because of bad working conditions. I happen to think the working conditions are great here, so maybe we just need a different worker.
Bring them to help you with the genocide. Hunting and gathering. Gotta catch them all, or you can delete any pal get in your way.
Let's try out these guns. Here we go. That didn't do any damage to him.
Or more like being delete when get in their way. Hi, I'm Jimmy the Fox, and this is Playswap. And you know what funny? I think Palworld and Pokemon is too similar. They similar in a way that, how can I say this? Nothing new, like Pokemon making the same game for 3 decades. Palworld is just another one in a sea of survival game, but not like Pokemon. Palworld, do a good job in taking all the best thing from other survival game right now.
You know when you ever load up a game and you're like, this is just an amalgamation of like 4 or 5 other games, and usually that's always bad, okay? Almost always. Just because when you're the jack of all trades, you fail to excel at every single trait you're trying to go for. But what if I told you Pokemon with guns actually succeeds at almost everything it's going for?
Everyone just called this is Pokemon with gun, but if you play it, you will know. It a better Pokemon game first, and then having a lot more thing to do, like Pal will help, build, farm, mine, cook, and basically running your base for you. Base building is fast and feel good compared to Ark. The survival in base building is not too hard, but it a delight to see your pal slavering around with, dare I say. Pretty good detail and animation. I can see the attention Pocket Pair put in to make every pal feel like a difference character. Any pal you capture will have one trainer skill, and some passive skill that make their stand out to be a good fighter or a good base keeper.
So gameplay loops, right? The idea of like doing one thing over and over and over again can be very, very boring for some people. But if it works well and it keeps you engaged and it interweaves with other loops, you'll waste more hours than you care to even realize.
The fighting feel a bit clunky at first, but feel pretty good once you frame roll and pal attack like in middle of Dark Souls boss battle. And this game is not easy at all. Every combat in the open world will depend on you choosing the pal with right element types. And keep watch for switching pal if the battle goes sideways. When you dodging stray bullet from afar, helpless shooting weak-ass arrow to help. And look out if any wild pal around decide to end your team adventure. Pocket Pair just update the development roadmap and said that the game is 60% done. So what we see here is just halfway in development cycle. They hit 8 million sale right now when I editing the video. Maybe it can go over 10 million this weekend. What do you think about Palworld fast success? Leave a comment down below, because we want to know your opinion about the game. And hey, don't forget to like the video, and if you want to see more, let's subscribe to Playswap and hit the bell to know when we upload.
It's actually funny that I see how upset people are about Palworld when it actually is probably more accurate of a depiction of a Pokemon world than the actual Pokemon games are. In the manga and in the TV show, Pokemon had jobs. They helped with household tasks. They were experimented on. They were enslaved. It's funny that Palworld is actually a more authentic Pokemon world than Pokemon.
Did I told you we can breed 2 different pal to get an unknown pal? Pocket Pair like a chef who not the best, but try to make us the best meal possible with all the best ingredient that available. And the plot twist is this chef know what we all want and give it all for us.
There it is. What's your creative vision? I don't have a creative vision. I just want to make a game that people like.
The design of Pal in Palworld, too similar to the Pokemon, is the point that Pokemon die-hard fan try to push.
Like, that's a straight up rip. And like, don't get me wrong, hell yeah, but like, like I'm not gonna be like,
saying,
no,
brother.
no, be nice to the multi-billion-dollar company, but like at the same time,
Yeah, how could
damn, like y'all didn't even try.
Of course, there is some questionable design, but I think it just a middle finger that Pocket Pair want to stick in Game Freak face at this point.
And you can judge for yourself whether it's actually stolen or maybe just slightly inspired, but people are going in. I saw this thread of 100.
I mean, let's be real, guys. Some of these are fucking stupid.
This is not plagiarism. It just reference, like Pokemon reference Dragon Quest.
And you want to know what's really funny about Dragon Quest? Is I bet Dragon Quest took them from somebody else. There is no original text.
Pokemon fan try so hard to point out all the similar in the design. Make me feel a little pity for them.
Like this? Like you're just throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks. No, I'm sorry. No,
Like, you see this. This is a wolf. You see how much it looked like a wolf in another video game.
And I would say we can let Nintendo make that call, right? I don't think we need to defend Nintendo or white knight for Nintendo.
True.
Nintendo, a very litigious company, will do it for themselves.
Yeah, you gotta think to yourself, if Nintendo can, they will.
The largest one, in my opinion, is that Palworld artwork. Was allegedly created with the help of a generative AI program.
So this is an argument that's based off of my sources. I made it the fuck up. Yeah, so what they did is they made it up and then they got mad about it.
Sad.
And then people started to attack the CEO of Pocket Pair because he had something good to say about AI. Oh wow, an AI enthusiast making a game that using AI in the gameplay. Is it a bad thing now? Is it a bad thing when a small studio using AI in their workflow to help the game developer working more effective?
There's no real evidence that the game uses AI.
Let's go a step farther. If it did, I don't care.
How stupid Game Freak and Nintendo feel right now when they try to tell us. Yo, just moving on, Pokemon is for kids. And kids, they are stupid. They never grow up and see how bad of a job we doing all these years. The so many game come out try to be Pokemon killer. But all fail because they never try to be a good video game, but a reskin of a very bad video game with pretty good concept called Pokemon. And that's why they fail right there.
So Pokemon, all right, if you know, with Game Freak and Nintendo, has been on basically not just a downward trajectory, we're talking a 90-degree decline on quality.
They're too afraid and not talented enough to actually use the Pokemon formula to deliver anything high quality. Multi-billion-dollar franchise, the most fucking lucrative franchise in human history.
To illustrate how immense the impact of Pokemon is, consider this staggering statistic. As of 2023, the Pokemon franchise has generated over $100 billion in revenue, making it the highest grossing media franchise of all time, surpassing giants like Star Wars, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and even the venerable Mario franchise.
And the Pokemon games still look like they're made by middle school students as part of some kind of computer science project. It's embarrassing. Like Scarlet and Violet barely even fucking worked.
If you take out the Pokemon with fan base of million come from manga, anime, and maybe movie, what you left is a very bad game even with the standard from almost 3 decades ago. Yeah, you hear that right? The first Pokemon game is 28 years ago, and they still selling that gameplay with maybe upgrade graphic for 50 USD, and you need to buy 2 for a full experience.
So, I've been very vocal about my distaste for Game Freak's work over the last decade and some change. I think Game Freak is the laziest developers in the world. They get the task once every couple years to go in and copy and paste their last Pokemon game with no real effort, and somehow they still fuck it up every time.
Is supreme dominance, and we all know that power corrupts, and no matter the quality of the games, television shows, movies, cards, merchandise, it all still gets purchased. And it's the old adage of, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But for the Pokemon franchise, it's if it's still selling, don't fix it. And that's where I think things can start to change, because now we're getting some opportunities to have something emerge into the market that makes people look at Pokemon in a different light.
I love Pokemon, you know, as a kid, and I still do. They try to re-release the same game again and again, and somehow they make it worse from time to time. But because our emotion investment, we still refuse to play or try another monster collecting game. And they think that they had us in the bag already. Why try to make a good game when we keep buying the worst game possible? But you know, after 2 decades of the same bad game back to back, I think us and the world ready to moving on now.
But anyway, somebody in the comments said Palworld isn't a good game. It's just the game that people want.